Hey, welcome to another edition of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series Devs Ask You, or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show us changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. Today we're stepping into newly revealed territory. Stana, the mysterious leader of the Deathletters, a face we've never seen until now, and already one of the most dangerous presence in the game. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! Hello, Kendall. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I am so freaking excited. Recently, your new trailer got released out into the world, and already some mind-blowing shit started happening. And halfway through the trailer, I think the biggest thing that caught my attention, at least, was that scene that I set up in the intro where this character shoots Zura out of nowhere and all hell ensues, right? So this is Stana. We don't know much about her. This is our first time seeing her. Right off the bat, I understand that Stana is the leader of the Deathletters, right? She coordinates the hive mind the enemies known as Deathletters. What else can you tell us just straight off the bat about Stana?
Well, I mean, Stana's the kind of character that we really want to build up through the story. We want her to be not like this ever-present arch enemy, but at the same time, it's someone that you have conflicts that matter against, like they always end up having, like in the world of Mega Man and Dr. Wily, they're always opposed just by the fact that they're in different factions, and I think that that's something that it simply just really works. And in this world, we have definitely the opposing factions, but you also have like completely different objectives and loyalties, and you want to exploit that a lot. You want it to feel the pressure of Stana, having more resources, having like an entire army at her service, having, the Deathletter protocol, which we'll talk about a little bit more. She is definitely in a superior position, and she is the hunter, right? She is the one hunting you. So in the world of, this is not like as similar, but to make a connection, if we were in the world of Mega Man X, like she represents like the Maverick Hunters, right?
Right.
She represents what X-Zero would be in that universe, and then we are the Mavericks. We are the hunted. That's the feeling we want you to feel in your controller. This oppressive hunter that will not relent, that will always find you, and that will always get to you, and you can't outrun them. You can only try to survive. That's the feeling that Stana represents, and it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. It's a well-written character, to my belief. It's not like this constantly hyper sadistic, I just want to hurt people kind of enemy. It's just someone that takes that has a very deep story to what she's doing, and also, of course, takes incredible pride in her role in the Savior's army. So she is Arconis, which is our as of right now, who we know, he is the leader of the Saviors, and he is the one that's
as
running
of right now. Oh my god. Okay.
Well, I mean, there might be bigger problems in the world than this one guy that wants to kind of eradicate all humans, right? We do have the Shade Protocol, right? And we have other things that are definitely, I wouldn't call them cosmic problems, so they're definitely more bigger problems than just an army fighting another army
in the Shade universe, right?
Yeah, in the Shade universe, you could call it like that, right? Yeah, but the Stana is like this second in command to a character, and this is, I've said this many times, right? If you have someone like Stana, that she is pretty much, I wouldn't say omniscient, right, but she lives through, she can see everything from all the different Deathletters anywhere, right, all at once. That person, that incredibly powerful, probably one of the most well-designed, hyper-powerful protocols ever, kneels to Arconis. We
Hmm.
don't know what he can do. That's the scale that we're trying to portray, like the scale of distance between, someone that will serve another when they are that powerful. That's kind of the beginning of the path we want to show. And of course, she's desensitized to a lot of things, so she definitely has a little bit of that kind of pride of the hunt. Like she's not gonna be someone that's not gonna like what she does, but not like her desire to hunt you down is not just, she's not like laughing the entire time maniacally, right? That's not the character we're writing for sure.
Right. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about because in the trailer, from that encounter, we see an entire crater get blown into a mountain. Now, in our director's commentary breakdown of that same trailer, you mentioned that. I'm pretty sure it's within that video. The crater, the results of the crater doesn't necessarily mean that that is the power level of Stana. It could be necessarily like, this mysterious figure deflecting it, and that's why it blew up a crater. But regardless, from this encounter, a crater in a mountain happened. So if we're gonna think about power scaling already, if this is just a taste of Stana's power, again, also instantly knocking down our main hero who can warp reality with her weapons, I can only imagine how much more powerful Arconis is. Now, I know this episode isn't about Arconis. We will get to him one day, but if you can tell us, like, when we do eventually face Stana directly, what should we be expecting? Should we be expecting a tactical bullet hell type of pressure, or is there more emotional stakes?
Well, we will see. I think there's a lot. We know exactly how it's going to play out, of course, in our minds.
You do, yeah.
But there are. I don't think we'll face Stana one time, right?
I hope
think
not. Yeah.
That's an important thing. We'll see her a couple times. It's a never-ending pressure. Like that's the way I think about it.
Never
Like,
ending.
if you are progressing the game, even if you are going at it the most non-linear way, she's always like right there. She's like, you are trying to get away from her and the entire Savior army, and she is kind of like that tracker that will always find you, right? So I took that idea, of course, from there's a game that I never played because I was a child and I was incredibly scared of it. I feel so stupid for saying it. But there's a game called Clock Tower. I never played it, so I don't really know how it plays. But in short, I think you're playing this one character, and then there's another, like there's this like there's only one.
Oh, I know
bad
this
guy in
game.
the entire game. Yeah, and you're in a tower, and they're hunting you, and
Yeah,
they
way
always
forward.
find you.
Yeah.
Something like that. I never played it, but I always thought to myself, like, if it's that constant, like they will always find you. That kind of feeling of like you can't outrun them, which feels more in line with the power of a true enemy, right? Not an enemy that you can just easily outsmart. What would that look like? And in a story that, of course, you don't want to put time pressure into the player, but you want to, of course, make the story feel like every time you do a milestone, time passed, right, and things happened. So that's kind of the concept there. But to answer your question in terms of power, there's a lot that we could go into there. The number one thing is, of course, I mean, I think it's not about it being obvious because it's a fantasy game, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if Stana would have shot Zura when she's going into that second shot that's charging, and that shot would have created a crater, where we are, right? She would have killed herself and everyone else, right? So that's definitely not very logical that that's what would happen, right? But there's a couple of things we could infer from that. Once again, I'm speaking like a player because I really don't want to tell you what to think. You guys have to make your own choices. But if I was a player, I would be thinking, okay, first this thing has to hurt enough to take down Zura. So Zura is not like a little thing, right? Something that needs to be taken down by enough power. So that's a good, resemblance of an homage to our power level. But it definitely wasn't going to blow up a crater in this bastion, right? So if that's the case, then what could have caused that? Is it because this guy that shows up, or guy or gal or whatever it is, right? This machine that shows up is hitting this beam with such force than the that the beam kind of hits the mountain and explodes, or is it that there's some sort of interesting reaction between instruments and matter in the world, right? Or is there more to it, right? Does the color of the beam matter? Does the situation matter? Like what's all that stuff is stuff that I think I want the players to speculate, because it will matter when it comes to managing and understanding the game a little better at the speed that people should be learning about, because there are enough secrets in the trailers already to figure out a lot of stuff, but not too much. So that's how I would phrase it. I would say there is enough information there for you to speculate, not enough to know for sure. So speculate away. But I will tell you that there's a lot of power in that room. There's a lot of power in that room, and you are not the strongest in the story at all. Like,
Right.
that is not you for sure.
Yeah, so I want to turn it back to a point you made at the beginning of that answer. Deathletters, as we discussed in our Death Letter episode, or at least our first one, they are powerful by themselves, just the base enemy, right? They can do so many things. You guys have like 9 attacks on her right now and stuff like that. They can do so much. This Stana is the leader of them. It's the Death Letter Prime, right? So I can only assume she can do that and more. Of course, she's a boss. She's second in command of the Xaviers and stuff, right? So what I'm gathering here is I'm getting a lot of Emmy vibes from Metroid Dread. Are you familiar with those enemies?
I am not. No, tell me more.
Okay, yeah. In Metroid Dread, one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest selling points of the game, are these giant robotic like hunters, right? That they have their own specific powers and stuff in each area, and they are literally hunting you down. They're hunting Samus down, and at the beginning of the game, almost for like 80% of the game, you can't do anything about it, right? You're literally supposed to be running away from them. They are an ever-existing presence in Metroid Dread, therefore Dread, right? You get the actual feeling of Dread playing a Metroid game. I want to ask, like, how similar of this kind of vibe can we expect from Stana and the Deathletters as a whole, right? Because Stana is kind of overpowered in that sense. Like, she always knows where you could be. It's just a matter of time until she herself gets to you. You're dealing with her kids, man, like you're not dealing with her yet. So like, I want you to expand a bit more on that.
Yeah, fair. So I would say the Deathletters themselves, they are not this power. I mean, they're powerful, of course, but they are. And if you've seen them, they're all versions, like kind of like I wouldn't say clones, but they're all facsimiles of this one character. They all look like the same character, and they are all intentionally similar, but they are powerful together. They're really powerful together. And we will figure out how to represent that in the game. But if you meet like one Deathletter, it's not that bad, right? They are smart and capable, but whenever you're facing like 2 or 3, then you're in deep trouble, because that's where we would start figuring out like other things, like maybe they can predict where you're going, and so they can shoot ahead of you. But if there's 3 of them, they have enough angles to like almost always hit you. So you don't want to deal with many of them. You want to deal with one at a time if you can help it. But of course, Deathletters, we have like a imagine a matrix, if you made a Cartesian plot of all the enemies in the game right now, and you were doing a line between left to right saying like, strong versus smart, right? So smart all the way to the right, strong all the way to the left, and then like kind of very, very difficult to, or very, very easy to deal with from, in the y-axis. So the Deathletters are very, very far on the top right. So they are very, very, very smart, and they're intended to be difficult to deal with. But alone, they're not so much. Whenever you're dealing with them around many enemies, that's when stuff gets crazy, right? Because they are very capable of, I wouldn't even say taking advantage or leveraging. They use the other enemies, right? They use them to their advantage. They're very pragmatic in that way. So the Deathletters, for example, they have they have many abilities, right? But one of the abilities they have, which we show in I think both trailers, if I remember right, they have like this rifle, and they have a sidearm. That sidearm is incredibly dangerous. It does a lot of things, but one of the things it can do, it can shoot a flare. And we of course we haven't programmed this, but this is part of her design. They can shoot a flare, and there's another enemy called the Sky Trooper. The Sky Trooper is an enemy that looks like a Savior Exo. If you've seen that, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to our Discord. Big dude with a sword. But there's one that flies. There's a big dude with wings, metallic wings, with an axe, and she can shoot this flare, this like kind of circuit flare into the air. And if there's a Sky Trooper, it'll come pick her up and take her away from you, and she could shoot you in the air. So she, these Deathletters, they are, I wouldn't say commanders, but they are high priority units in the Savior army, and they will do everything they can to get away from you. They can jump to other platforms. They don't want to be near you. If you throw a spear at them, they can kind of dodge it. Like if they were dodging in 3D space, right? They can get into like the background. They'll put their back to the background, and the spear will go in front of them. So stuff like that. They don't like for you to get close to them. Imagine that in a boss. Like a boss that does not like the idea of you getting close to them. But we have a couple of encounters where you will meet Stana, and it won't be what you're imagining. One of the fights that I'm most excited to design for all bosses ever is one of the fights with Stana. It's just, in my head, is spectacular. I can't tell you what it is, but it doesn't play the way you think. It is a very different orchestrated fight, and in my mind, it's gorgeous. So I will not spoil that, but don't expect to just like fight some lady with a rifle at all times. We have much more creative problems for you to deal with, for sure.
This trailer may have given us only seconds of her appearance, but that was enough to establish Stana as one of the most powerful and intimidating forces in Shade Protocol. A leader, a weapon, and a question mark. We'll be learning more about her soon, but for now, she leaves us with tension, mystery, and a crater to remember. This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help with Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. Go follow Shade Protocol on Kickstarter, and if you like this breakdown, check out our past spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Emeria is still being written.